Hey everyone, welcome to my review of Halloween Ends, what is hopefully the final movie in the trilogy that started since Halloween 2018. Just start off with the bat. The plus side is I did find it to be better than Halloween Kills, although that's kind of a low bar. But just to break it down to what I thought of it, I will keep this part spoiler free as possible, and eventually I will go into a part that is going to contain spoilers. I will definitely let you know when that does happen. But to start off, so Halloween Ends. It's taking place 4 years after the events of Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills. As we know at this point, Laurie lost her daughter, son-in-law. Allison's still around. And it kind of just takes place now 4 years later after Michael went on his rampage there, and talking about how Laurie's now trying to get over what happened with Michael after all these years. And Allison trying to cope with losing both of her parents there, and as well as introducing a new character named Corey, who had an event occur on Halloween 2019, and what he has to deal with as a result of that. Based on the characters, I like what the approach they took with Laurie at this point here. She is getting over the Michael stuff as much as she can from 40 years ago, 44 now in this movie. Started writing a book. She seems genuinely happier now at this point. She moved out of that cabin in the woods, because she kind of had to with it being burnt down, and now she lives with Allison being there, who has kind of moved on best she can now as well. At least she still has her grandmother despite having no parents there. The town itself, though, has kind of had a dark shadow cast over it from Michael reappearing back in 2018. A lot occurs over the years leading up to the movie, and it's kind of blamed on Laurie a lot from people around the town there, and that gets shown throughout the movies there. The sheriff once again makes a reappearance there. Kind of takes a step back, though. This movie heavily focuses on Laurie, her granddaughter, and Corey. Of course, Michael's in there as well. But it is a different shift now, just over to the family more or less, really now, and what they have to deal with and the aftermath of everything that occurs. Cinematography wise, it kind of reminds me a lot of the first film. It even makes a lot of callbacks to the first film, with some of the way some of the shots are done. The movie does take place leading up to Halloween night in 2022, and it's done well. It's done well enough that I can see where they were coming from. I never mind the callbacks to the original films. I do think it's a little bit of a easy grab, but they've been doing that since the 2018 movie. So there are Easter eggs, if you've seen the first one especially, that are thrown throughout there. My favorite one being at the beginning of the movie, they're watching John Carpenter's The Thing on the television, being a nice callback to them watching The Thing from Another World in the original one. So I give massive props to that one, especially because I'm a big fan of The Thing. Other than that, it's a thoroughly mediocre movie. I wouldn't say it's anything extravagant there. It's nothing too offensive in my opinion in terms of like the way the film franchise has gone. But then some of the character development to me goes a little strange, especially with Corey. I mean, like I said, I'm not going to get too much into this part here, but it kind of comes out of left field, really. Even though the setup is kind of obvious, but that being said, it can be satisfying enough. My biggest complaint about this film has got to be the jump scares. I don't mind a jump scare when it's done sparingly and for effect. This movie threw a bunch at you. Half of them don't even make any sense when they get thrown at you. One's literally done during the middle of the day, and there's no tension that has been built up to that point yet. It just happens, and you know it's the movie's gonna be predictable throughout because it's a Halloween film. If you've seen the few now at this point, you're gonna get the idea of what's going on. The kills, not as much happens in this movie as it does in Halloween Kills, which is great. There's no reason why Michael Myers should have became a mass murderer in Halloween Kills. He was never really that at all. I mean, Halloween 78 and Halloween 2018, yeah, he has a body count, but it's not particularly high. But in Halloween Kills, he's like John Rambo going ham, or or the beginning of Predator with Dutch and his crew. It's just massacring everyone just for the sake of it, and somehow just can't be beat, despite being attacked by 20 townspeople. Ending of the film, it's satisfying. It's satisfying. It does end in I think a good way there. And the last 15 minutes were very nice. Were a very nice touch. I think probably one of my favorite parts of the movie. Of course, that's when Michael gets heavily involved in it as well. There, especially. Other than that, though, it's fine. Now, would I say to see this in theaters and pay money, because it has released on Peacock as well. If you have Peacock, you can stream it from there. So the question just comes down to, do you want to see it by paying money in the theaters? My answer would be, if you're a big fan of the film franchise and just want to see how what should hopefully be the last Halloween film, of course, with the title being Halloween Ends, in theaters, go for it. I think you'll find your money to be spent well enough. If not, I would just say stay at home, watch it on Peacock. I think it'll be satisfactory enough there, and I think you'll come away being like, that was fine. Other than that, that's really all I have to say about the movie. Next coming up is the spoiler, so if you haven't seen the film yet, you could stop watching right now, and thank you for watching. If you have seen it or don't mind seeing spoilers, just stick around, and I will definitely go ahead and go into the spoiler part there, where you can see what I really have to think about it. Okay, so welcome to the spoiler part of the video. This is the part where I probably go on a little bit of a rant as well, just because while the movie was okay, there's still a bunch of stupid stuff that makes no sense. I know it's a horror film. I know horror films are filled with dumb stuff that just don't qualify, and you have to suspend some disbelief here. But I still just want to rant about it. To start from the least offensive stuff, going probably to the most. The least I would probably say is the jump scares. I know I made a mention of it earlier in the video, but the jump scares truly make no sense. I'm talking that the first one in the film happens about 3 minutes in, and it's the kid coming out to scare his mom as a jump scare, and Corey who's babysitting him. The scene itself makes no sense because he's hiding underneath the staircase, because when you go up a staircase, you have that little alcove underneath that people can store stuff in. And it's a little dark under there, but the mom literally has to walk by it in the first place, and she doesn't notice her kid at all sitting there. He's okay. He comes out of nowhere. And the shot preceding him jumping out shows partially down below where it'd be at, and he's nowhere to be found. The kid is not that small that he'd be able to hide under there without being seen. And continuing on from the second jump scare happens legit in the same big beginning part of the movie. Probably 5 minutes after the first one, Corey's looking for the kid because the kid's playing a prank on him. Wants to go look under the bed. Jump scare looking under the bed, and then a jump scare like 10 seconds later when a door slams and Corey hits his head on the bed frame. The jump scares literally were just terrible in this film. The one that got ruined, of course, was the one that everyone's seen in the commercials where Michael grabs Corey while he's in the sewer. That was the jump scare that probably could have been the most effective had they not shown it in the theaters. But the worst one of them all was the one I mentioned. It happens in the middle of the day, and Corey's pulling off his best Michael impression, just staring into Laurie's house, much like Michael did into Laurie's classroom in Halloween 78. So he does his creepy little stare. Laurie goes downstairs to walk outside, looks to her left, which is where Corey would have been. He's not there. She turns to the left to face the bush more, and he just appears behind her. Contextually, it makes no sense, because if you look to the right of Laurie, there's nothing he could have hidden behind. It's poof. He's just there. And it's the middle of the day. There's nothing to build the tension at all. Michael hasn't been established really that much in the film yet. He's been a sewer person this whole entire time. It's just I don't know where that jump scare thought came from, but that's at least the least offensive stuff in this film. Moving on from that, I'd have to say it's probably the townspeople. I mean, okay, they're all upset about Laurie and everything for bringing back Michael, but Michael apparently has this sixth sense that he just happens to know where Laurie's going to be all the time, wants to go back to Haddonfield and just kill people that happened to get in his way of trying to kill Laurie Strode. Of course, after 40 years, I guess you can't blame people for wanting to just get onto Laurie for that. I do think it's a little overdone. And of course, ironically, at the end of the film, they all magically come together now to see Michael's body to be destroyed and finished off once and for all. They even cut to the lady who was attacked by Michael in Halloween Kills. They show her once in the film, and they show her again at the end. They show the black kid that was being babysat in Halloween 2018 that, was the smartest character in the whole film because he knew everyone was going to die in that one. So the townspeople, I just think it's kind of weird that the town now is just so overdone at this point to where they're paranoid and they just hate Laurie for basically no reason. They also hate Corey too. That's for being a kid killer. We'll cover that in just a second there. The character development to me also just Laurie's was done fine. Allison's to me was a question mark. Corey and Michael's were completely bad. Laurie, like I said, I touched on. It was nice seeing her try to move on after 4 years there. Towards the end of the movie, she becomes more paranoid again because she starts seeing the evil in Corey, like what she saw in Michael. And then, of course, she fights Michael at the end, but she gets her closure. That was fine. Allison, okay, we have a relationship with Corey there, and okay, so you have a relationship with Corey. You never once question what he does in the spare time. It's just magically he just is, when he's injured, you ask, but you brush it off because you just find him so hot, apparently. At one point, Corey literally tells her, I killed someone. Now, maybe she was thinking that it was referring to the kid that he killed 3 years ago, which has already been known for 3 years now. But don't you think something would go off saying, why is he telling me he killed someone? Maybe I should look into this further. No, we're not going to do that. It's just, broken boy. I'm broken too. It's a match made in heaven, right? And then, of course, she goes off the deep end, not trusting Laurie anymore until the very end when she does. Oh, I knew he killed all those people, but I still was blinded anyway. It's horror logic that gets thrown out the window. But you would think that being the granddaughter of Laurie Strode, she'd be a little bit smarter about it. That being said, she at least gets somewhat of a decent ending there. Now we move on to the worst character in the movie, which was Corey. If I could like parallel Corey here, Corey reminds me of Steve Buscemi's character from Billy Madison, except not funny and not really well done. Because Steve Buscemi's character had that little black book of people he wanted to track down afterwards in it, and of course he strikes out Billy Madison's name once Billy Madison apologizes to him. So this is basically what happens with Corey. Corey has like the emotional stability of probably a 14-year-old, because anyone who makes fun of him for what happened back in 2019 when he killed the kid there, just that's what they're on his case for, and it's like, yeah, what do you expect, dude? People are gonna be like that. I know it was by accident, but still, a child died because of your actions. I know it was involuntary. I mean, I'm pretty sure some of the townspeople believe him, and some of them do. I mean, even the dad of the kid believes that he didn't mean to do it intentionally. But then Corey goes off on the deep end here because he gets picked on by teenagers, picked on by Allison's ex-cop boyfriend here. And then it's just so anyone who he gets a little bit of a grudge with, it's just now they're on my hit list and now they just need to be gone. And at one point, this is where you cross paths with Michael, who got done a disservice in this film. So Michael let's just go ahead and we're gonna take Corey into the sewer I've been living in for 4 years, despite the fact that I got completely shot up, beat upon, and somehow survived against 20 townspeople by being able to take them all on and finishing them off. So Michael's been a sewer person for 4 years, somehow recovered from all that. I guess he's been eating rats or something. Who knows? Maybe doesn't eat it all. But somehow Michael Myers is a complete weakling because Corey can overpower him, pushes him around a little bit. But Michael doesn't kill Corey because I guess they have a bro bonding moment because Michael looks deep into his eyes, sees a connection of just, you're just like me, and then lets him out and everything. And that's when Corey starts going off the deep end. Homeless person right outside the sewer starts rambling at him, saying like, you saw him, but why did he let you live? Because apparently other people have been wandering close to the sewer based on what I was hearing from the homeless guy's rant, and Michael's been picking them off over the past 4 years. But I guess no one ever decided to look for these people. So Corey ends up turning the homeless guy's knife around on him and starts from there. That's when he tells Allison he killed someone else there. And then it just goes off into this bizarre tangent of where, okay, like I said, if someone offends him, they just need to be gone. Happens to the cop, he drags him into the sewer where Michael ends up finishing him off there with Corey's help. He does it to the doctor that Allison works for, and the nurse. He does it to his mom. He does it to the 14-year-olds that picked on him. He became a copycat killer, it just was not a good copycat. It's okay. And then at the end of it all, he tries to go take out Laurie, and Laurie just ends up shooting him twice. He falls over the banister, falls to the ground. They have some dialogue there back and forth. You're never gonna date Allison, yada yada yada. And of course, Corey, if I can't have her, no one can. Ends up sticking himself with his own knife at that point. Keep in mind this whole time too, after that happens, Laurie takes the mask off Corey. I think she knows it's Corey because he's not wearing a boiler suit or work boots. He's wearing that terrible wool brown sweater that I think Allison gave him for the Halloween party earlier. And then he just takes off the mask, and Laurie doesn't question it. Laurie doesn't question, where'd you get the mask? Where's Michael at this point? I guess she just magically knew that Corey somehow was seeing Michael behind her back. He was seeing her main squeeze, and it's just okay. So Corey tries to then get rid of, tries to off himself there at that point. Allison comes in, hates Laurie at that point. Oh, and also too, there was also the radio DJ who Corey just gets upset about, because why not? Oh, he made fun of me again because of what happened back in 2019. Speaking of which, though, I'm just sorry if I'm rambling here and kind of going off on tangents in this point. I'm just trying to figure out what's crossed my mind. If it was involuntary manslaughter that happened in 2019, and this movie's taking place 3 years later, what's Illinois' policy on involuntary manslaughter of a minor? How does he get out in 3 years? I feel like this movie could have been avoided if he was in prison still. I don't know if it's a shorter sentence or something because it was accidental and he didn't mean to do it. It was a first-time offender. If anyone knows Illinois' penalties for something like that, let me know. But I'm trying to wonder that now too in the first place. Why was he even out? But anywho, going back to the end now there, and that's when Michael finally gets into Laurie's house there. And Michael really has, like I said, been irrelevant for most of this movie. He kills the doctor's head nurse assistant now at this point, doing a throwback to one of his kills from the original Halloween. At no point does he really do any sort of stuff outside the sewer. I think he stalks Laurie all of once, and that's when Laurie, of course, is getting home and watching Allison and Corey go up there to go to Pound Town. But that's really about it. And then that was it. So then Michael comes in. Let's just go ahead and we're just gonna snap Corey's neck because he wasn't dead somehow from a couple gunshot wounds and sticking himself with a knife in the neck. And then at that point, okay, the fight ensues. The fight was fun to watch. I'll admit that. Of course, it pulls out the tropes. So okay, let's go ahead and So Michael, of course, now is just. Michael ends up getting overtaken by Laurie. Laurie stabs Michael through one hand to her counter, does it with a knife with the other, throws the fridge at him to immobilize one of his legs, takes a knife to his neck there at that point, and then though, of course, Michael's never done, so Michael just magically tears his hand out from one of the knives and starts doing a chokehold on Laurie there, and and then Allison comes in to save the day, because now I believe my grandmother all over again. And they do that, and then they finally tie Michael to the roof of the car. The whole town comes out, and they throw him into a car crusher, basically, at the scrapyard that Corey's dad owned. I'm wondering if they left police officers behind to clean up the rest of the dead bodies that occurred throughout the movie. I'm wondering if Corey was just left on Laurie's floor. What happened to the other ones? I mean, they had to walk by the 14ers and Corey's dead dad at the scrapyard. Yeah, Haddonfield might need to work on some cleanup there a little bit. But I guess, for the purpose of the movie, it is irrelevant, but it does make you wonder. And then, yeah, they throw Michael's body into a crusher, and he completely scraps up there. I did like the ending scene where they kind of did the shots around Laurie's house there, reminiscent of Laurie's house in the first film, but instead of it being dark and foreboding, it's all daytime now, and there's a lot of light in the house, showing that the menace is over. Allison drives off into the distance. Laurie's gonna go on vacation now with the sheriff or whatever, or something like that. And then then that's it. They have the final shots of Michael's mask sitting on Laurie's table in the study, and okay, cut to credits. I just okay. I mean, it wasn't totally offensive, but some of it still made no sense. I know it's never going to. I'm hoping they don't come out with another Halloween film that involves anything to do with these characters in this storyline. Of course, though, knowing them, they're probably going to pull something out of nowhere where, whoa, that one time that Allison and Corey slept together, somehow she's pregnant now, and then there's going to be a whole situation where the baby's going to become a psychopath or something like that. They're going to jump like 12 years into the future or something, where the kid now, I don't know. I got a feeling that could very well be the case, but let's hope not. Anyway, that was my ranting right there of this. It was some spoilers in the movie. I don't know. It's, like I said, it was a fine movie. It beats Halloween Kills, which still is the lowest bar that could possibly be beat. But I think this franchise could have probably stopped at Halloween 2018 and not given us 2 more sequels to it. But that's my 2 cents there. If you watched this far, thanks for watching there. Hopefully my next movie review won't be about a movie that I found to be rather blah and had a lot of flaws with that I rant about. But hey, you never know. So thanks for watching, everyone. Take care.